and your healthy eating cookbook, how that
Something healthy to eat.
something healthy to eat.
And you know where the title came from? It's very interesting. My granddaughter, who is now a teenager, she just turned 13,
Wow.
and she, when she was 11, in her 11th year,
On her birthday.
on her birthday, we said, you know, we're writing a cookbook because we have like over 600 recipes in the cookbook, and of course my children, her mother, they cook, they have, well, my recipes, now it's in a book. They had in all different places. I would send them a card, you know,
Yeah.
little cards, and we just were talking, and we said, Noah, that's her name, Noah, what do you think would be a good title for a book? And she just took like 3 seconds. She just thought, she said, how about something healthy to eat? Out of the mouths of babes, all
Yes,
time
comes wisdom.
We were floundering around for a title. We couldn't come up with a good title.
And she did.
And she was,
And she did.
she's brilliant. She really is brilliant.
Well, this grandfather talking.
Yeah.
But of course she
something
is.
healthy to eat.
And then, actually, from my show, the executive director, Ken Kinna, he had the subtitle because he came to lunch one day, and he wrote "Something Healthy to Eat: A Love Story with Food." So that's the
Oh,
second.
isn't
That's
that
the
wonderful?
full title of the book.
Yeah. So let me get you the book so you could see it. I didn't get it. So I'll get you the book, and I'll show you. Ken Kinna, the executive director, had the subtitle "A Love Story with Food," and the main title was "My Granddaughter: Something Healthy to Eat." So this is the cookbook, and you can get it on www.healthytoeat.com.
Wonderful. Isn't that wonderful?
And all of the things, I mean, there's over 600 recipes in here, but all of the things like Hank was talking about, I do tell you so that just to make extra sure that you're careful, like when I have a recipe and it says, well, let's say the tomato soup recipe, I will write down 1 jar and the ounces. It's very specific. Of no salt, no high fructose tomato soup. And my recipes are really very clear because when I started cooking, starting to learn how to cook, when I started getting recipe books, or I would ask people, like family members, and the directions that I got were, I couldn't follow them. Some recipes were very complicated, and
Yes.
mine is quick and easy. 1 pot, 1 bowl, that's it.
That's what I like.
I can't
Because
go,
I'm Italian and I'm not a good cook.
well, follow
that,
this.
That doesn't go with, that don't go together, I think.
Yes,
you know?
no it doesn't. No it doesn't. And I'm very thrilled that you made it simple.
It's very easy, but because,
And also universal.
oh, yeah, it's for everybody.
It is for everyone. But it is also for kosher people.
Well, a lot of the things that actually, you know,
I'd like to touch on that.
my uncle was a medical doctor, was a physician, and he actually wrote a textbook, and it was the Bible and Modern Medicine, and it's not a religious book at all. It just, he highlights, because he was trained religiously as well as medically, but it just shows that certain things that are in our laws, how they connect to health. And,
Yes.
and so,
Could you explain a little bit
Well, let me
what
ju-
it means to be kosher?
okay, but let me just, well, what it means kosher, one thing is we don't eat milk and meat. And so, for example, if you had a cheeseburger, that's cholesterol,
Yes.
add cholesterol on top of cholesterol.
Yes.
So when you say that this is beneficial for everybody, it is, and it's healthy eating. Now, many people, I understand, if they're really fussy, they like to, if they're not, don't even keep a kosher house, they like to buy kosher poultry
Yes.
and organic poultry.
Yes.
They think that it's cleaner and handled better. So, yes, this is for everybody. But what does kosher mean? You could go to school for many years to study the laws of, as we call it, kashrut, which is the laws of kosher. Do you want to give a little introduction about what kosher is? You live in a kosher
Well,
house.
fundamentally, okay, what the term kosher, and we usually think in terms of food, but the term kosher really means fit or proper, okay? So, they sometimes can refer to other things which are non-food items, for example, as being kosher, for example, certain ritual objects, or something like that. But most of the time we always think of as food, okay? And the important thing about kosher is that, as far as you're concerned, is that the rules for food, the rules for diet, are really laid out really in the Bible.
Yes.
They are primarily set out in the book of Leviticus, or those
Yes,
other places.
and I did read the book of Leviticus. It's very
right,
long.
and what it does is it says these are certain animals which are kosher, and these are certain animals which are not. You know?
Yes, yes.
For example, a four-legged animal which
Yeah.
has a split hoof and chews its cud is a kosher animal.
Mm.
Now, a pig has a split hoof, but it doesn't chew its cud.
Yeah.
So therefore the pig is not kosher.
Yes.
Okay, so those
There's
are...
misconceptions, though, Hank, among Christians and Gentiles, that a rabbi is involved with kosher. In other words, a rabbi blesses the food.
But
That doesn't make it kosher.
There's no blessing, first of all. There's no blessing. Although,
There's no
although
blessing.
The person who... kosher takes a couple of levels. First of all, we say, what is a kosher animal?
Yes.
Well, that's just the meat part.
That's the first part of it, okay?
What about
The second thing is, of course, is the recognition that we as human beings
Yes.
want to eat meat. Okay?
Yes.
In order to eat meat, obviously you have to slaughter the animal.
Yes.
So the rules of kashrut specify, and some of this is not really explicit, but the rules of kashrut specify that the animal has to die painlessly. In other words, there are, and in fact it even goes on to this very day, that there are many slaughterhouses which kill the animals in a very brutal fashion. But the animal has to die painlessly. Now you'd say, well, how is that? And these are techniques that were evolved, a couple of thousand years ago. Is that it turns out that certain types of animals, which are like ruminants, such as sheep, cattle, and so forth, if they get a slit across the throat that severs the windpipe and all the nerves and so forth simultaneously, the animal becomes instantly unconscious.
Yes.
And therefore the animal does not feel pain.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea, because many of these...
That's more humane.
Many of these other of these slaughterhouses, for example, they stun the animal and they do all sorts of brutal things to the animal. And yes, the animal does die, but the animal does feel pain.
So kosher is humane.
It's supposed to be humane.
It's supposed to be humane. Now, for example, if I go into a store and they have a kosher section, which they do in Swampscott, they have a kosher section. Does that necessarily mean I pick up a kosher product?
Yeah.
It says kosher on it. Is it kosher?
Yes. Yeah,
It is kosher.
Well, first of all,
Well, you have to check the kosher sign.
Obviously, if it's a reputable store, like Stop
Yeah.
and Shop, okay?
Yes.
And I don't want brand names, but
Yeah.
if it's a reputable store and the food